Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something real simple. How long are you going to keep putting your life on hold for other people? How long are you going to keep waiting for approval, waiting for validation, waiting for someone to finally see your worth before you decide to see it yourself? Because here's the truth nobody likes to hear. Nobody is coming to save you. Not your friends, not your family, not your circumstances. It's you. And I know that might sound heavy, but it's also powerful. Because the moment you understand that your life is in your hands, that's the moment everything starts to change. See, too many people spend their whole lives focused on the wrong things. They focus on what others are doing. They focus on what they don't have. They focus on who left them, who doubted them, who talked about them. And while they're busy doing all that, their own life is slipping away. You can't build your future if your mind is stuck in somebody else's business. You can't grow if you're constantly comparing yourself to people who aren't walking your path. You can't win if you're distracted. There comes a point in your life where you have to make a decision, a real decision, not just words, not just promises you make when you're emotional. I'm talking about a decision backed by action, a decision that says, from this moment on, I'm choosing me, not in a selfish way, but in a necessary way. Because if you don't choose yourself, nobody else will do it for you the way it needs to be done. You have dreams inside of you right now that are waiting for your attention, waiting for your discipline, waiting for your focus. But you keep giving your energy to things that don't grow you. And then you wonder why you feel stuck. Listen carefully, where your focus goes, your life follows. If you focus on distractions, you'll build a distracted life. If you focus on negativity, you'll build a negative life. But if you focus on growth, if you focus on discipline, if you focus on becoming better every single day, your life has no choice but to improve. This isn't about being perfect. This is about being intentional. This is about waking up every day and saying, I'm going to do something today that my future self will thank me for, even if it's small, because small steps taken consistently create massive change. So today, I want you to stop looking around and start looking within, because everything you need to change your life is already inside you. Now listen, focusing on yourself doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It doesn't mean you isolate yourself from the world. It means you stop neglecting your own growth while trying to fix everyone else. Some of you are tired, not because you're doing too much for yourself, but because you're doing too much for people who wouldn't do the same for you. You're pouring into empty cups, and then you're wondering why you feel drained. You have to learn how to protect your energy, because your energy is your currency. Every time you give your time, your attention, your effort to something that doesn't serve you, you are investing in a life you don't want. And every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to something that could grow you. That's why focus is so important. Focus is discipline. You spend so much time worrying about what people think about you, and it's slowly killing your growth. Every move you want to make, every idea you have, every dream sitting in your heart gets filtered through one question. What will they say? And that question is costing you your life. Because while you're busy trying to be accepted, you're slowly rejecting yourself. You hold back your voice because you're afraid someone might judge you. You shrink your goals because you're scared someone might laugh at you. You delay your progress because you don't want to look foolish in front of people who aren't even building anything themselves. And the truth is, those same people you're trying to impress, they're not even thinking about you as much as you think. They're busy dealing with their own insecurities, their own fears, their own problems. But you're letting their possible opinions control your real actions. That's a dangerous place to live. Because the moment your life starts being controlled by other people's opinions, you lose your direction. You stop doing what's right for you and start doing what's comfortable for them. And let me tell you something, you can please the world and still feel empty inside. You can get approval from everybody and still feel like you're not living your truth. Because deep down, you know when you're not being real with yourself. You know when you're playing small. You know when you're settling. And that feeling, it doesn't go away, it gets louder. Every single day you ignore your growth, that voice inside you gets stronger. That voice that says, you're meant for more. But instead of listening to it, you keep turning up the noise of other people's opinions. You scroll through social media comparing your life to theirs. You listen to people who have never done what you're trying to do. You take advice from people who are comfortable staying exactly where they are. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start building a life based on fear instead of purpose. You start making decisions not because they're right for you, but because they're safe. And safe doesn't grow you. Safe keeps you stuck. If you want to grow, you have to get comfortable being misunderstood. You have to accept that not everyone is going to agree with your path. Not everyone is going to support your vision. Not everyone is going to understand your hustle. And that's okay, because this is your life, not theirs. They don't have to wake up with your regrets. They don't have to live with your missed opportunities. They don't have to carry the weight of, what if? You do. So why are you giving them so much power over your choices? Why are you letting people who aren't building your future decide how you show up in your present? You have to take that power back. You have to shift your focus from them to you, from opinions to growth, from fear to action, because growth requires courage. It requires you to step out even when you feel uncertain. It requires you to take risks even when there are no guarantees. It requires you to trust yourself even when nobody else does, and that's hard. It's not easy to stand alone. It's not easy to believe in yourself when you don't see results yet. It's not easy to keep going when people doubt you. But let me tell you what's harder. Living a life that doesn't belong to you. Waking up every day feeling like you could have done more, been more, tried more. That pain hits different. That regret stays with you, so you have a choice to make. You can either keep living for other people's approval, or you can start living for your own growth. One will keep you stuck. The other will set you free. And the moment you decide to focus on your growth, everything changes. You start valuing your time differently. You start protecting your energy. You start saying no to things that don't align with your purpose. You start investing in yourself, your mindset, your habits, your discipline, because now your focus is clear. You're not trying to impress people anymore. You're trying to improve yourself. And that one shift changes everything. Because when you focus on growth, you stop chasing validation. You stop needing approval. You stop explaining your moves to people who don't understand your vision. You just move. You just work. You just grow. And while they're busy talking, you're busy building. While they're busy judging, you're busy evolving. While they're stuck in the same place, you're becoming someone new. That's the power of focusing on your growth. You keep waiting to feel motivated, and that's exactly why you're not moving forward. You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow when I feel ready. I'll do it when I'm in the right mood. I just need a little more motivation. But days turn into weeks, and weeks turn into months, and nothing changes. Because motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. One day you feel unstoppable. The next day you don't even want to get out of bed. And if your life depends on how you feel, then your progress will always be inconsistent. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline doesn't care about your mood. It doesn't ask you how you feel. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. Discipline shows up even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. That's the difference. Anybody can work when they feel motivated. Anybody can chase their goals when everything feels good. But the real growth, the real transformation happens on the days you don't feel like doing anything. Those are the days that define you. Those are the days where you either move closer to your goals or fall deeper into excuses. And excuses feel good in the moment. They comfort you. They make you feel like it's okay to delay. It's just one day. I'll start next week. I deserve a break. But those small excuses, they add up. And before you know it, you're stuck in the same place you were a year ago. Still planning. Still waiting. Discipline breaks that cycle. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to do it. It's waking up early when your bed feels too comfortable. It's working on your goals when distractions are calling your name. It's staying consistent when nobody is watching. Because let's be honest, most people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they're not consistent. They start strong, but they don't last. They rely on motivation to carry them, and motivation always fades. But discipline builds momentum. It turns actions into habits, and habits turn into results. You don't need to feel inspired every day. You just need to be committed. Committed to showing up. Committed to doing the work. Committed to becoming better one step at a time, even if it's slow, even if it's boring, even if it feels like nothing is changing. Because behind the scenes, everything is changing. Every time you choose discipline, you're training your mind. You're building mental strength. You're proving to yourself that you can do hard things. And that confidence, it doesn't come from motivation, it comes from action, from repetition, from showing up over and over again, until it becomes part of who you are. There will be days when you're tired, days when you feel overwhelmed, days when you doubt yourself. And on those days, motivation won't save you, but discipline will. Because discipline doesn't require you to feel good. It requires you to be focused, to be intentional, to remember why you started even when the excitement is gone. And let me tell you something, the people who succeed in life are not the most talented. They're not the most lucky. They're the most disciplined. They're the ones who kept going when it got hard. They're the ones who stayed consistent when others quit. They're the ones who understood that success is not about big moments. It's about small actions repeated daily. That's how you build something real. That's how you improve your life, not by waiting for a feeling, but by creating a system, a routine, a standard for yourself, where you don't negotiate with your goals, where you don't make excuses, where you don't rely on emotions to guide your actions. You just do what needs to be done, over and over again. And eventually something shifts. What once felt hard becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes part of your routine. You stop fighting yourself. You stop depending on motivation, and you start becoming disciplined. That's when your life begins to change. You don't realize how much your energy is being drained until you start feeling empty for no clear reason. You wake up tired, not just physically, but mentally. You feel overwhelmed even when you haven't done much. You feel like something is off, but you can't explain what it is. That's what happens when your energy is constantly being pulled in the wrong directions. Because not everything that takes your time deserves your energy. And not everyone who has access to you deserves your attention. But you keep giving it away freely, without thinking about the cost. You entertain conversations that go nowhere. You respond to people who only reach out when they need something. You stay connected to situations that no longer serve you. And every time you do that, you lose a piece of yourself. Your energy is not unlimited. It's not something you can just waste and expect to still perform at your best. It's your fuel. It's what drives your focus, your creativity, your discipline. And when it's low, everything else suffers. You can't think clearly. You can't stay consistent. You can't show up fully in your own life. That's why protecting your energy is not optional. It's necessary. Because if you don't protect it, people will use it. Not always intentionally, but it will happen. Some people bring stress into your life. Some people bring negativity. Some people bring distraction. And if you're not careful, you start absorbing all of that. You start carrying problems that aren't even yours. You start feeling emotions that don't belong to you. And slowly your peace disappears. You have to become aware of what drains you. Pay attention to how you feel after certain conversations, after being around certain people, after spending time on certain activities. If it leaves you feeling tired, frustrated, or unmotivated, that's a sign. That's your energy telling you something is wrong. But most of the time you ignore it. You keep showing up. You keep saying yes. You keep allowing access because you don't want to disappoint people, because you don't want to seem rude, because you think it's easier to just go along with it. But every time you ignore your own needs, you're betraying yourself. You're choosing comfort over growth. You're choosing approval over peace. And that comes at a cost, a heavy cost. You start feeling disconnected from yourself. You lose focus. You lose direction. You lose the drive to work on your own life because all your energy is being spent everywhere else. You can't build your future if you're constantly exhausted by your present. That's why you have to start setting boundaries, real boundaries. Not just saying it, but living it. Learning how to say no without feeling guilty. Learning how to walk away from things that don't align with you. Learning how to protect your time, your space, your mindset. Because not everything deserves a reaction. Not everything deserves your attention. And not everything deserves a place in your life. You have to become selective. Selective about who you spend time with. Selective about what you give your attention to. Selective about what you allow into your mind. Because whatever you allow will influence you. If you surround yourself with negativity, it will affect your thinking. If you constantly engage in drama, it will drain your focus. If you keep feeding your mind distractions, it will weaken your discipline. And then you wonder why you feel stuck, why you can't stay consistent, why you can't move forward. It's because your energy is scattered. It's being pulled in too many directions, and nothing grows in chaos. Growth needs focus, clarity. Space, you need space to think, space to work, space to improve. But you can't create that space if you're always available, always responding, always giving. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is step back, disconnect, be alone, not because you hate people, but because you respect yourself, because you understand that your energy is valuable and you're no longer willing to waste it. You start choosing peace over noise. You start choosing growth over distraction. You start choosing yourself over everything that drains you. And that's when things begin to change. Your mind becomes clearer. Your focus becomes stronger. Your actions become more intentional. Because now your energy is aligned with your purpose, not scattered across things that don't matter. That's how you take control of your life, by taking control of your energy. You keep looking for something big to change your life, a big opportunity, a big breakthrough, a big moment where everything finally clicks. But life doesn't work like that. It's not one big decision that changes everything. It's the small ones you make every single day. The things you think don't matter, those are the things shaping your future. Waking up a little earlier, choosing to work when you feel lazy, putting your phone down when you know you're wasting time, reading instead of scrolling, practicing instead of procrastinating. Those small choices, they seem insignificant in the moment. They don't feel powerful. They don't feel life-changing. But they are, because every small action is like a vote for the person you're becoming. And when you keep voting the same way day after day, you build something real. You build habits, and habits, they run your life. Not your goals, not your intentions, your habits. You can have the biggest dreams in the world, but if your daily actions don't support them, nothing will change. That's why consistency matters more than intensity. You don't need to go all in for one day and then disappear for the next 5. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up again and again, even when it feels boring, even when it feels repetitive, even when it feels like you're not making progress. Because the truth is, progress is not always visible, at least not in the beginning. In the beginning, it feels slow. It feels like nothing is happening. You put in the work and you don't see results. You stay consistent and it still feels the same. That's where most people quit. Not because they can't do it, but because they can't see it. They expect immediate results from consistent effort. And when it doesn't happen, they lose patience. They go back to old habits. They go back to comfort. But what they don't understand is change is happening, just not in a way you can see yet. It's happening internally. You're building discipline. You're strengthening your mindset. You're creating a new identity. And that takes time. Real change takes time. But when it finally shows, it shows in a big way. All those small actions you thought didn't matter, they start to add up. Your confidence grows. Your skills improve. Your mindset shifts. And suddenly, you're not the same person anymore. That's how transformation works. Quiet in the beginning, powerful in the end. But only if you stay consistent. Only if you keep going when it doesn't feel exciting. Because let's be real, most of the journey is not exciting. Most of the journey is routine, doing the same things over and over again. And that's where discipline meets patience. You have to trust the process. Even when you don't see results, even when you feel stuck, even when you doubt yourself. Because every time you show up, you're getting closer. Maybe not in a way you can measure right now, but it's happening. You're building momentum, and momentum is powerful. Once it starts, it carries you. It makes things easier. It makes consistency feel natural. But the hardest part is starting and continuing without immediate reward. That's where most people fall off. They want results before they've built the habits. They want success before they've done the work. But life doesn't reward potential. It rewards consistency. It rewards effort. It rewards the people who keep showing up long after the excitement is gone. So stop waiting for big moments. Stop thinking you need something dramatic to change your life. You don't. You just need to take one small step, and then another every single day. Because those small steps, they lead to big results. They build a life you can be proud of. They turn dreams into reality. Not overnight, but over time. You keep telling yourself you'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll wake up early. Tomorrow you'll take your goals seriously. Tomorrow you'll finally change your life. But let me tell you something about tomorrow. It's a lie you keep telling yourself to stay comfortable today. Because tomorrow always feels easier than today. Tomorrow feels like you'll have more energy, more motivation, more clarity. But when tomorrow comes, it feels exactly like today. And the same excuses show up again. I'm not ready yet. I'll do it later. I just need a little more time. And just like that, another day is gone. You don't realize it in the moment, but you're building a habit of delaying your own success, a habit of choosing comfort over growth, a habit of starting but never actually starting. And that habit is dangerous, because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to begin. The more you overthink, the more fear grows. The more you delay, the more doubt takes control. You start questioning everything. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if it doesn't work? And those questions keep you stuck, not because they're true, but because you never give yourself a chance to prove them wrong. You stay in your head instead of taking action. And while you're thinking about what could go wrong, your life is passing you by. Opportunities don't wait forever. Time doesn't slow down. And the version of you that you want to become, it doesn't appear magically. It's built through action, through effort, through starting even when you don't feel ready. Because the truth is, you will never feel fully ready. There will always be something missing, more knowledge, more confidence, more preparation. But if you keep waiting for perfect, you will never begin. Perfection is just another excuse, another way to avoid discomfort, another way to stay safe. But growth doesn't happen in safety. It happens when you step into the unknown, when you take action without having all the answers, when you trust yourself enough to figure it out along the way. That's where real change begins, not in planning, not in thinking, but in doing. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need everything figured out. You just need to start. Take one step. That's it. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be impressive. It just has to be real. Because action creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Once you start moving, things begin to shift. You learn as you go. You adjust as you go. You grow as you go. But none of that happens if you stay still. If you keep waiting, nothing changes. If you keep delaying, nothing improves. If you keep making excuses, nothing moves forward. At some point, you have to get tired of your own excuses. You have to look at your life and say, enough is enough. You have to decide that your future is more important than your comfort, that your dreams matter more than your fears, that your growth is worth the struggle. Because nobody else is going to make that decision for you. Nobody else is going to take that first step. It's on you, right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Not when everything feels perfect. Right now, because this moment, this exact moment is all you have. And what you do with it determines everything that comes next. So stop waiting, stop delaying, stop overthinking, and just begin right where you are with what you have. Because starting now is the only way your life will ever change. You spent so much of your life putting yourself last, putting other people's needs before yours, putting other people's opinions above your own, putting other people's comfort ahead of your growth. And somewhere along the way, you forgot about yourself. You forgot what you want. You forgot what makes you happy. You forgot what kind of life you're trying to build because you were too busy trying to be everything for everyone else. And the painful truth is, the more you ignore yourself, the more you lose yourself. You start feeling empty even when you're surrounded by people. You start feeling lost even when everything looks fine on the outside, because deep down you know you're not living for you. You're living based on expectations, based on pressure, based on fear of disappointing others. But let me tell you something, if you keep living like that, you will never feel fulfilled. You will never feel at peace, because fulfillment doesn't come from pleasing others. It comes from being true to yourself, and that requires courage. It requires you to finally choose yourself. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, but every single day. Choosing yourself means setting boundaries even when it's uncomfortable. It means saying no even when people don't understand. It means walking away from things that no longer serve you even when it hurts. Because choosing yourself is not always easy. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels like you're losing people. Sometimes it feels like you're going against everything you've been taught. But what you're really doing is coming back to yourself. You're reclaiming your time, your energy, your focus. You're deciding that your life matters too, that your dreams deserve attention, that your growth is important. And that shift, it changes everything. Because when you start choosing yourself, your standards change. You stop accepting less than you deserve. You stop tolerating things that drain you. You stop settling for situations that keep you stuck. You begin to demand more, not from others, but from yourself. More discipline, more effort, more consistency, because now you respect yourself. And when you respect yourself, your actions reflect that. You take better care of your mind. You take better care of your time. You become more intentional with your choices. You stop wasting your life on things that don't matter. And you start investing in things that do, your goals, your habits, your future. Because now you understand something powerful. Nobody is going to build your life for you. Nobody is going to put in the work for you. Nobody is going to wake up every day and fight for your dreams except you. So why not choose yourself? Why not become your own priority? Why not give yourself the same energy you've been given to everyone else? Because imagine what your life would look like if you did. Imagine how far you could go if you stopped doubting yourself, if you stopped holding back, if you stopped waiting for permission. There is a version of you right now that you haven't met yet, a stronger version, a more disciplined version, a more confident version. But that version only shows up when you start choosing yourself, when you start showing up for your own life, when you stop making excuses and start making decisions, real decisions. Decisions that align with your growth, decisions that push you forward, decisions that reflect the person you're trying to become. And it doesn't happen all at once. It happens daily in small moments, in quiet choices. When you decide to keep going even when it's hard, when you decide to stay focused even when distractions are everywhere, when you decide to believe in yourself even when nobody else does. That's what it means to choose yourself. It's not a one-time thing. It's a lifestyle, a commitment, a promise you make to yourself and keep no matter what.